Transcontinental Railroad was one of the most impressive feats of the 19th century, and it helped to solidify America as a world superpower because it connected the country and the economy. Now, once upon a time, we did have the most sophisticated and impressive railroad systems in the entire world, but in the 21st century, we lag far behind several other modern countries. Revamping the country's railroad system with faster and more environmentally friendly trains would be fantastic for not only our planet, but also our economy. According to the International Railway Journal, the Tokyo Shinkansen bullet train saw ridership increase from 60,000 passengers daily to 420,000 passengers daily over 50 years. And the Shinkansen also saw a $10.5 billion revenue in the 2013 fiscal year, which is much, much more than Amtrak, America's largest passenger train company, has ever sniffed. As a matter of fact, in 2013, Amtrak posted its best year with a budget deficit of $30 million. And according to Bloomberg, actually, Amtrak was poised to post a positive revenue for the first time in its entire history in 2020. But with the way that 2020 has gone, that obviously is not going to happen. Faster electrified railroads would immediately end this streak of negative revenues, with passengers drawn to the faster, more economical, and more environmentally friendly mode of transportation. The OKC to Dallas line, Dallas-Fort Worth line, currently takes approximately 7 hours. Now, it takes 3 to 4 hours in a car and 30 minutes, give or take, on a plane. If this train were to travel at the speeds of the Shinkansen bullet train, it could be reduced to as little as 1 hour, which would be a fantastic way to get people out of their cars and out of planes. And also, Amtrak's largest losses come from their longer lines because of how long it takes. Faster speeds would greatly reduce these losses and probably turn those losses into gains. There are many incremental improvements that could be made to our railroad system. We could do as little or as much as we want to improve our railroad system. But why should we do a complete overhaul? And what would that look like? Well, electric railroads are more efficient than diesel-powered locomotives. In fact, way more efficient. It is estimated by the EESI, the Environmental and Energy Study Institute, that 30 to 35% of energy used in locomotive trains is transferred to the wheels. Only 30 to 35%. Whereas with electrified trains, you're seeing 95% of the energy being transferred to the wheels. And this in turn goes to one of the main two factors in electrified railroads being much more cost efficient, because you're seeing a lot less energy being wasted through the train wheels, a lot less energy being wasted, and you're also going to be potentially saving money on the fuel that you would be purchasing if you were using non-renewable energy. And lastly, this is my personal favorite reason as for why we should make this move, is that it would make the U.S. more competitive with the rest of the world, and it would launch us to the forefront of environmental friendliness, and we would be really leading the world in that category, which we also lag behind in, and that would really be turning that around and making us an example that the rest of the world can follow. There are several potential alternatives to fossil fuels when it comes to electrification. I will walk us through some of these potential alternatives and discuss some of the pros and the cons to these alternatives. Hydrogen power. That's very popular in Japan currently. That's the direction that they're looking to move forward in for renewable energy in the future. Some of the pros are that it is limitless and it is man-made. It is made by separating the hydrogen atom from the water molecule, the H2O molecule. But that's a very expensive process. We would need to see advancements made in that for it to really be a reliable, cost-efficient alternative. And also, due to the density of hydrogen, it's not very dense at all. So the volume that is required to hold hydrogen fuel is much greater than our current, what it takes to hold our fossil fuels. So that's a pretty big downside. It's very expensive to build refueling stations as well. Wind energy. Wind energy has a very positive pro in the fact that wind energy is used to 100% power the railroads in the Netherlands. But the downside to this is that the Netherlands produce 1.2 billion kilowatts of energy through wind just to power their railroads, whereas America as a whole produces just 1/10 of that energy. And in case you didn't know, America is much bigger than the Netherlands. With a much larger population, we would need much more than 1.2 billion kilowatts of energy to power the country's railroad system. So it would probably need a primary or secondary energy source. And the last potential alternative that I have is solar power. Another form of renewable energy that America is we're comfortable with. We identify with it. We know how it works, but one of the pitfalls is that it can't be used to power very much unless you're looking into taking up massive fields with solar panels to power these lines. In India, actually, they use solar power to travel some of the smaller appliances on their trains, as you can see here. And that's just to power things like fans aboard the trains. To power the lines would require fields full of solar panels, and so that's another thing that would just need, you got to have another source of renewable energy to pair with that. Otherwise, with our current solar power technology, we just wouldn't really have the capabilities to do it completely. Something like this, though, this would work. It would, it would do a little bit. So, all in all, if we electrified our country's railroads, it would pull people out of their cars, it would pull people out of planes, which would help to reduce the carbon footprint in and of itself. Now, if we're using renewable energy on top of this, the carbon footprint would be greatly reduced. Thank you.